NFL Week 4 picks here at Grandstand Bettors. Sit back, relax as we give you the tips, tricks, and picks in this NFL Week number 4. So let's get into it. We have the New Orleans Saints hosting the Detroit Lions, and both of these teams could not be going in different directions. The New Orleans Saints are coming off a tough loss on Monday night against the Green Bay Packers. Drew Brees and his wide receivers are not looking great. But to be fair, you have Michael Thomas out, and we're hearing Jared Cook's going to be out on this Sunday against the Lions. On the flip side, the Lions are coming off a great win against the Carolina Panthers. They're looking like they can put up some points, and their defense may be deciding to play a little bit better, especially after that Green Bay Packers butt-whooping a couple weeks back. However, they have some secondary injuries that are questionable as well. C.J. Moore and Trufant could be out this Sunday, so that's still up in the air. Make sure you keep a look on the inactive list to see if they are in fact out. So, let's get to our pick. Who takes the win? And it's going to be the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees is just too much. And if you have Alvin Kamara on your daily fantasy or in your fantasy league, you know that guy is just going to put up numbers. Now, Michael Thomas and Jared Cook are out this week. However, Traquan Smith and Emmanuel Sanders are, in fact, better receivers than what Matthew Stafford has. I don't know where Marvin Jones Jr. has been this season, but he's nowhere to be found. And I don't think he'll be found on Sunday either. So again, that's the Saints minus 4.5. Pick number 2 is going to be our Minnesota Vikings plus 3.5. Now, this is the exact same number we got them last week. Make sure you hit subscribe below because just like last week, we went 4-1. You don't want to miss weekends like that. And last week, the Vikings were our 5-unit play at 3.5 over the Tennessee Titans. They did cover that spread, but they ended up losing the game, and they moved to 0-3. They're hosting the Houston Texans this week, who are also 0-3. Now, if you look at both the Minnesota Vikings and the Houston Texans, you have to say that they're probably the worst teams right now based off of preseason expectations. Houston with Deshaun Watson and Minnesota with Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen with Kirk Cousins behind the wheel would be off to a better start, but they're not. And the problem is the defenses. Houston was up against Pittsburgh last week and just decided to implode on defense. I think Pittsburgh went on a 24-0 run to maybe end that game. And then Minnesota, they were up a lot in that game as well and ended up letting the Tennessee Titans come back in that game to win. So these defenses aren't great, but I do like the Vikings. I think the star power is there. Dalvin Cook can pop off an 80-yard run anytime he wants. And Kirk Cousins to Adam Thielen is a thing this year. He is even hitting his tight end Kyle Rudolph in the end zone for some touchdowns. So again, we like the Vikings plus 3.5. However, it is not going to be our big play this week. There's just too many ifs in that game. And I don't know. Deshaun Watson, his running ability does scare me, but we do like the hook on the 3. So again, Vikings plus 3.5 for about 1 or 2 units. All right, let's move into pick number 3. Again, we're going with a team that's not been great lately. Also haven't won a game. And that's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to take them plus 7 over the San Francisco 49ers. And I know what you're asking yourself. Why? Well, Carson Wentz hasn't been good. Miles Sanders has been decent since he's come back off his injury off of week 1. But you have Deshaun Jackson is out, and you have Alshon Jeffries out. So you don't really have anybody on the Eagles. Why would you take them? Well, let's go to the flip side. San Francisco is battling a ton of injuries. I can't even go through the names. It would be easier to tell you who's actually playing because Garoppolo's not playing, Mostert isn't playing, and a lot of their defensive in the secondary are not playing. They did come last week and just destroy the Giants, but let's really dive into the Giants and San Francisco real quick. Both those teams didn't have anybody playing. Saquon Barkley's not playing. Daniel Jones sucks. So I don't give that win any merit at all. The Eagles, on the other hand, tied with the Cincinnati Bengals last week in probably one of the worst games I've ever watched in my entire life. The coach should not even have a job for the Eagles this week as he punted instead of trying a 58-yard field goal to win the game. That's just unacceptable. This week, though, the Eagles are getting 7 against the San Francisco 49ers, and with such a depleted team, we think Carson Wentz, Miles Sanders, and their wide receivers that are playing, Greg Ward and Whiteside, they're going to be pretty decent. He's got a good repertoire with them, and don't forget he's got the tight end Gobert. All right, so we like the Eagles plus 7. We don't think San Francisco has enough firepower, and look for the Eagles to get their first win almost outright this week. Now, pick number 4 is going to be our 5-unit play of the week, and that is the Indianapolis Colts against the Chicago Bears. Now, both of these teams are having great seasons, which is kind of unexpected. It's kind of like the flip of the Vikings and the Houston game. The Indianapolis Colts lost their first game of the season against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Gardner Minshew just threw 80% completion against them, and the Colts defense looked horrible. Since then, they've gone 2-0. However, they haven't been against great teams. On the flip side, the Chicago Bears are 3-0. Who would have thought they would be sitting at the top of the NFC North Division? Now, when you're 2-0 and you're in a third game and you're only losing by a couple touchdowns, who would have the balls to bench the starting quarterback? Well, that's exactly what they did in Chicago. MVP Mitch was benched last week for Nick Foles, who ended up coming back against the Atlanta Falcons, who was down about 2 touchdowns, 15 points in the fourth quarter. On a side note, that's the Falcons' second week in a row that they've blown a lead like that. So, as you notice, they're nowhere near our picks because we stay away from teams like that. So anyways, the Chicago Bears are putting up some points. Nick Foles is getting the start. And both of these teams average about 21, 22 points a game. So because of that, the over is 43. We're going to go over that. And now it's opened at 44.5 and got pounded down to 43. We think that's a little too much by the Sharps bringing the money down. We definitely like Phillip Rivers and Nick Foles to combine for at least 4 or 5 touchdowns in the game. The defenses are playing much better, but Phillip Rivers, Nick Foles do have the arms and the weapons around them to make this a high-scoring game. So again, Chicago, Indianapolis over 43. And our last one, we don't usually do this, but we think the number is an interesting one, and that is going to be the Browns-Cowboys game. It's at -4.5 to the Cowboys. And as much as we don't like to bet on our own teams, Dak Prescott and Elliott, their team is not playing up to the standards we all thought they would be. They lost last week 38-31 to the Seattle Seahawks. The Browns, they did win against a Washington Redskins team despite only by 2 touchdowns, despite having 5 turnovers in the game. But our defense, the Browns defense, does look strong this year. And I do like them to cover the 4.5 points. Now, Baker Mayfield is also going back to Texas. He played with Oklahoma, and a lot of those games were played in Jerry World. He should feel very comfortable, even though there will be about 25,000 Cowboy fans in the stands. The Cowboys, they have had a lot of scoring opportunities, put up some points, but let's be honest, the Seahawks defense are at the bottom of the league. And the only game they actually won was against the Falcons, and as we just talked about, they blow leads like it's their job. So we're not putting too much merit in the fact that the Cowboys are 1-2. We think they should be 0-3, and this actually will be another loss for them. We like the Browns plus 4.5 over the Cowboys. The only thing to watch for before you maybe put this in on Sunday morning is going to be the secondary for the Browns do have a couple injuries. I know Greedy Williams and Kareem Hunt on the offensive side are questionable. Kareem Hunt has been a nice addition with Nick Chubb at the running back position, especially near the goal line. Kareem's been used in a lot of pitch tosses, options, etc. like that, some wide receiver screens. But if he can't go, it does kind of limit the playbook a little come first and goal. So we'll see what the Browns do. That's Browns plus 4.5. So That's it for us at grandstandbettors.com. Make sure you hit that subscribe button again. Last week we went 4-1. That's not good enough for us. We'd like to go 5-0 this week. But just to recap all 5 of our picks real quick, we have the Saints -4.5, the Vikings +3.5, the Eagles +7. Our big 5-unit play this week, the Colts, Bears over 43, and I'm going to jinx it, but the Browns +4.5. So, as always, each Sunday, you guys just sit back, relax, let us do the work while you do the winning.